Okay, so 7/4 similarity in right triangles. Whoops. So if you look here, if I've got a right triangle right here, this is my right triangle, and I draw an altitude on it, right here's the altitude, it gives me 2 more right triangles. So now I've got 3 right triangles in that picture. So recall that all right angles are congruent, right angles, okay? And so because of this, all 3 of these triangles are similar. Now they want you to, well, I'll tell you in a minute. The geometric mean is such that A is to X as X is to B. So an example would be, find the geometric mean of 3 and 27. So I would say 3x. 3 is to X as X is to 27. So cross multiply, X squared equals 81. So X equals 9. So if you think about that, that makes sense. 3 is to 9 as 9 is to 27. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. And if you look here at this, if you see the cross multiplication, x squared equals AB. So that's geometric mean. A lot of different ways that we can solve these triangles. I'm going to show you one. The one thing that we need to know is the geometric mean, okay? So I'm going to label this A, X, B. So A is to X as X is to B. So I get X squared equals A times B. And if you can spot that, A is to X as X is to B, that and Pythagorean theorem are the 2 things that you need to do every problem in this section. Okay, so let's look at this. It wants QS. Well, the geometric mean, by the way, is always perpendicular to the hypotenuse, right? It's got to be that. So this is, I would need this number here though, okay? And I don't have it, but I do have Pythagorean theorem. So X equals the square root of 15 squared minus 9 squared. And if I get that, if I do that, I get 12. So X is 12. Now, let's just put a Y here and do Y. Now I have my geometric mean theorem. I can do 9 is to 12 as 12 is to Y. And I cross multiply, and I get whatever my answer happens to be, okay? The 2 things you need in this section. So here, what is CD? 6.4 is to X as X is 3.6. X squared equals 23.04. So X equals 4.8. So there's a little rhythm to it. That base is to X as X is to that base. All right, so let's look here. What is CD? That's geometric mean theorem. 5 is to X as X is to 15. So I get X squared equals 75. So X equals 8.66. Now once I have that, I could find Y and Z using Pythagorean theorem. So let's find y. So y is the hypotenuse on that little triangle. So I'm going to use plus 5 squared plus 8.66 squared. It's going to give me, oops, not the square root. It's going to give me 10. Z is not the hypotenuse. It's the leg. So I'm going to use minus. Oops, sorry, I was doing x. Z is the hypotenuse, so I'm going to use plus. X is 8.66 plus 15. And I get 17.32 for Z. What is RT? So what's RT? Now we can't find X, we can't find RT yet. I don't have enough information. But first, I would have to do this, okay? So I can say 9.6 is to Y as Y is to 5.4. So Y squared equals 51.84. So Y equals 7.2. Now once I have that, now I can use Pythagorean theorem. And X is the hypotenuse, so it will be plus. And put that in my calculator, and I would get 12. That's all you need for this section, okay? Those two things. All right, what is JL? Put that Y or X. Label this one Y, label this one Z. So because we have these two numbers, I'm going to have to find Y first. So 4 is to Y as Y is to 20. Y squared equals 80. Y equals, I'm going to put the square root of 80. I don't have my calculator. So let me erase that. I'm going to put that square root of 80. Okay. Now let's do X. So X is the hypotenuse. And I would get 4 squared. Plus, now look, if I didn't get this, but the square root of 80 squared is just 80, isn't it? So see, it doesn't really matter in these problems if I actually get that decimal or not. Lost my place. So X equals 9.8. All right, let's do Z. Z is the hypotenuse. So let's take the square root of 20 squared plus the square root of 80 squared, which gives me 400 plus 80. The square root of 480 would be 21.91. All right. So, again, same thing. First thing I have to do here is find X. 2 is to X as X is to 10. X squared equals 20. So X equals the square root of 20. If I find Z, I'm going to say the square root of 20 squared is 20, right? Plus 2 squared gives me the square root of 24. I don't care if you get a decimal or not. The square root of 24 is fine with me. And then Y would be, is the hypotenuse, so it's minus. It's plus. So I get the square root of 20 squared is 20 plus 10 squared is going to equal the square root of 120. And that's all there is to these. And like that last one, we are not going to worry about this one. Let's see. Oh, let's look at this one. Where do I start first on this one? Well, I'm going to have to use Pythagorean theorem and find y. So y, and y is a leg, so it's minus 65 minus 25, 65 squared minus 25 squared. It's going to give me 60. Now, I'm going to find x. So 25 is to 60 as 60 is to x. So I get 25x equals 3,600. So x equals 144. Then I can use Pythagorean theorem for z. 60 squared plus 144 squared. And I get 156. All right, let's look at this example, and then I think I'm done. All right, I'm going to draw this here. Okay, it says a 4-foot high loading ramp. So that's your 4-foot high. The length of the base must be the length of the back of the base. And the back of the base is right here. So this is 12.8. How long must the entire base be? So, and what's that? Well, the first thing I need to do then is find y, right? So y is to 4 as 4 is to 12.8. So 12.8y equals 16. So y equals 1.25. So x has to equal 12.8 plus 1.25. And I get 14.05. And that's all there is to 7.4. So there you go.